Get ready for your weekly dose of pixie dust with Dizney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Dizney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show I have my good friend Jeff Victor joining me. Hello, Jeff, and welcome.
Hi, Jeffrey. How's it going?
Good. What was the last one? Galaxy's Edge, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So here we are. If you can't tell, my voice is a little bit tired. It will be even more tired by the end of this episode, because we have a lot to talk about. We just got back from D23 Expo 2019.
Yes, we did.
And we have our thoughts. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's jump into that conversation right now.
It's time to dive into today's Disney Dialogue.
Okay, so D23 Expo 2019. Now let's just start off with the fact that I remember vividly at the end of D23 Expo 2017, you were like, never doing this again.
That's very true.
And so after 2019, obviously something changed your mind as time passes. You forget the 4 hours waiting in line and all that stuff, and you're like, you just remember the good stuff, hopefully. So you did decide to come to 2019. At the end of D23 Expo 2019, are you going to 2021?
Yes, I definitely plan on going back to 2021.
There we go. So I'd say that's an improvement.
It's very much an improvement.
Now, I will start this off by saying we were one of the lucky ones, and I'm very sorry if this might upset some people, but we got reservations to everything we wanted to.
Everything.
And I know that there was a lot of controversy surrounding the whole reservation system. I do want to just touch upon that briefly. As you probably know, if you're listening to this, there was an online reservation system to reserve your spot in line for a lot of the panels. As we mentioned in the past, it was not abnormal for us to wait 4 hours for a panel. This time around, we never really waited over an hour because we had those reservations. The online reservation system, I know, I'm saying this as somebody who got what he wanted, but I think it's a good system with problems. There are people out there who just are like, this is complete garbage, get rid of it, this is completely unfair. In my opinion, it's not really unfair, except for the fact that there were technical glitches. Yes, there were errors from the beginning. Originally, it was supposed to be on a Friday at noon, then it became a Friday at 1, then it became a Saturday at noon. I wholeheartedly, truly sympathize with those of you who made time in your schedules to make sure you were available at that original time. That's horrible, and that's, terrible. But at the same time, in my opinion, it would have been even worse to have launched it and it have been not working correctly at all. So, I don't know. I don't know what could have been done differently. I don't know.
How I would expand it on the next one would just be to offer more reservations and less standby. I
mean, then it would practically be no standby, because I feel like most of it was reservations at this point. Now, there were some things I know there was, we had the 3-day passes, but I know at one point the 3-day passes sold out. So some people bought a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday ticket. And I don't know what that system was, is if you had to log in each time. Some people I've heard say you did have to log in for each day, which means waiting in that virtual queue. Other people I know said they were able to link all three together, so I don't know which was true with that. The other confusion was with gold family member passes, which is really good for 4 people, but when it came to the reservations, it wasn't clear if it was good for just a +1 or +3, so that was a problem. There were also things that happened, like when I was reserving, I would get notifications that just said, sorry. And I'm like, sorry what? Sorry it sold out. Sorry there was a technical glitch. So there were definitely issues with the system. But as far as a reservation system is concerned, I would say after this past experience, I would absolutely want it to be an option again. And if I didn't get the reservations I wanted, I don't see myself going back to waiting in a 4-hour line. I probably just wouldn't go to that specific panel.
Yeah, so the reason in 2017 I didn't enjoy it as much, because I felt like the waiting was terribly long.
Yeah, and even worse now, things that would cut off 4 or 5 hours in advance were now cut off at 10 p.m. the night before. So it's, it's obviously getting bigger. I don't want to focus on this. I know there's been a lot of discussion and argument about this already, but as far as I'm concerned, reservation system is a good thing. It has problems. I hope they will work it out, but I do think it's a fair way, and once again, I'm saying this is somebody who got what they want, so maybe you guys are just yelling at me in your cars right now, whichever. Let's move on from that, okay? Because the D23 Expo really actually began before the D23 Expo began. The night before, there were some major announcements. And this was, I will admit, confusing to me because I was like, why are they announcing this stuff? We've got an expo coming up.
Yeah, I was confused about that too because it's like they had a press event and then just said everything.
Yeah, they had a press event. They certainly didn't say everything, but, Avengers Campus was announced. We knew that we were getting Marvel stuff over at Disney California Adventure, but the name of Avengers Campus was revealed that evening, as well as Moana heading into Epcot was revealed that evening.
The Halcyon, the Star Wars Hotel.
Yeah, and then even the Secret Project, which, it's funny because they'd been teasing the Secret Project for a while, and I had kept hearing from people that, listen, it's nothing great. Like, when I hear Disney announces a Secret Project, I expect fifth theme park, new land, new e-ticket, like something major. But indeed, the Secret Project was simply a book and Disney Plus series called One Day at Disney, and it focuses on Disney cast members, which is lovely. It's wonderful. I'm all for this. I just think it could have just been part of Disney Plus panel as opposed to a secret project that they had been teasing.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was kind of like a weird announcement to just be like, hey, here's a documentary about a day in the life of a Disney employee, essentially.
Yeah, so that was a little bit weird. But so all of that was the night before, so a little strange. But let's head into day one. Now, day one begins. The big thing is the Disney Legends ceremony, and I, along with the group of people I was with, we all agreed like Disney Legends. It would be nice to get in, but we won't be heartbroken if we don't. Now, this is something we did not have a reservation for. It was in the biggest space, and in the past, every other year, to be fair, this space never filled. Disney Legends always had extra seats in the back in the past, so I was like, great, we'll show up last minute. I'm not waiting 3 hours in line for this. The people I was most interested in was Christina Aguilera, Bette Midler, I would say. Bette Midler did not show up due to weather problems and travel and, who knows what. So she did not show up, so, I'm glad I didn't wait in line for something like that. We did not get into this panel. It was okay, but we really just decided, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to not wake up in the dark, we're going to go enjoy a nice breakfast, go. And I will say, when we got to the convention center, a little surprised at how big the lines were. Of course, we've seen this in the past, but usually if you're going to Hall D23, you can bypass a lot of the show floor line, but it was just the security line. And it was a chaotic situation, I would say. Not chaotic, just a long line that we had to deal with. And just a lot of, unknowns, which is always the most frustrating. Because it's oh, how long is this going to take? And nobody could really answer questions. So that was a little frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. Because when we first got in, they directed us one way. And then they took an entire group of people a different direction. And then those people ended up having to come back, losing their face in line because the employees had no idea where to send people.
Yeah, it's the big miscommunication between D23 cast members with convention center employees and, information not being passed on and such. And I just feel like it's kind of the nature of a convention. Unless you've been doing it for 50 years in the same location, it's just... You're trying to do something massive for a very short period of time, so there's very little learning curve is what it seems like. But in any case, that was the start of the day. We did get inside. We went to go to Disney Legends, and at that point, it was full. So we decided to go to a panel I'm so happy we went to. It started off the whole thing for us. It was called Great Moments with Walt Disney. And why don't you talk a little bit about this?
Well, it was audio tapes of Walt Disney at home. He was getting interviewed by his daughter. And they were talking about, it was hosted by I think it's the music historian.
Yeah, so this was part, the Music Emporium was involved with this. And it was a little bit of a sales pitch, but at the same time, really, really cool.
Yeah, and it was Randy Thornton. And it was talking about, hearing Walt talk about sounds and music and film from when they first started doing their animated shorts.
Yeah, and it was cool because it was a very, organic, unrehearsed Walt Disney, which you don't often hear. Most of the time we see Walt, it's in a TV special or something that's scripted. And this was him, just sitting in his backyard telling stories. And so it was really, really cool in that respect. There was a great moment where he actually mentions Fox Studios, and he was talking about going around to the different studios, trying to sell them on this whole matching sound with film and how he wanted to do it and how he felt it should be done and how it is, was eventually done, but the studios weren't buying into it. And one of the studios he specifically mentioned was Fox. And I just thought that was hilarious considering,
now we own Fox.
Yeah, the current situation. So it was, to me, it was kind of a nice way to start the expo because it was a reminder of like why we're there. Of course, I never forget it was Walt Disney, but it was just nice to hear his voice as the first thing at the expo for me. So I'm really happy we did that.
Yeah, it was a nice, like, easy, like, breaking in panel to get started with.
Yeah.
I didn't find a lot of the information to be overly fascinating. What I liked was the little teeny stories and tidbits, like the Fox thing. He talked about like going to RKO, and no one wanted to do what he wanted to do. And then it was cool learning that I forget what they call it, where they put the ticks in the
not the soundtrack, the click track.
Yeah, the click track, and how they recorded sound from that. Walt was basically created it.
Yeah. And it's like a method that's still used today, I believe.
Yes.
Of course, in a digital way. But yeah, so it was a fascinating little thing. The Music Emporium did have, I wanted to get it, but I didn't end up getting it. They had CDs of a lot of these recordings, and you could only get it if you purchased something at the Emporium, which I didn't. So, but it's cool. I'm sure it'll get out there somewhere somehow. So that was very cool. Happy to start with great moments with Walt Disney. We then went to the D23 Expo Arena, which was, it's funny, the arena used to be the large space for the expo. Now it's about half the size of what is Hall D23. But we went to the Music and Sounds of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which I thought was a pretty cool panel. It featured a performance, which was nice. A good conversation about not only the music of it. Unfortunately, John Williams was not there, which, I wasn't expecting him to be. If he was, that would have been a big marketing push, I'm sure. But it was cool to hear. They had video of him talking about it. And, one of the things that I really loved about that was the conversation he had about, like, the different components to make the final product, and one of them was the composer, and then I think the other was the orchestra, and then the final piece is the audience, and how like the piece really isn't complete until the audience is part of it. And I was like, I don't know, out of a lot of people's mouths, I feel like it would sound like BS, but I was like, I totally believe you, John Williams, when you're saying this. So it was cool. I liked it. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. My favorite part was probably when they brought in the people who composed the Cantina music.
Yeah.
And how the guy that remixed the famous Cantina song, how he wanted to make it sound otherworldly, and then he wanted John Williams' approval of it.
Yes.
And John Williams ended up loving it.
Yeah. So, and apparently, I guess they said, there's been a lot of Cantina music remixes and stuff, and he hasn't always loved them. So it's kind of cool that he gave that, badge of honor or approval for the stuff that's in Galaxy's Edge. But it was a pretty cool panel. Like, nothing that it was like, oh, you missed the coolest thing ever. But once again, fun. I actually found I think the sound effects in Galaxy's Edge are really interesting as far as like the spaceships flying over and stuff. And I thought that was fun to listen to. And like I said, live performance, which was cool. But then there was the big showcase for us that day. It was the Disney Plus showcase. I think this was my favorite panel of the weekend, which shocks me.
I would agree. I wasn't looking forward to it the most, but it ended up giving us the most.
Yeah, now it was... admittedly, this year's expo, I would say, was a pretty big commercial for Disney Plus, which launches on November 12th, of course, is Disney's streaming service. But I mean, there was a lot of Disney Plus representation at the expo. And on day one, they had this huge showcase in Hall D23, which holds about 7,000 people. It was hosted by Yvette Nicole Brown, who is starring in the live-action Lady and the Tramp for Disney Plus. But the whole thing started, we have different opinions on this, but the whole thing started with a performance from High School Musical, the series, which I absolutely loved. Admittedly, some of the vocals weren't as good as they maybe should be, but I don't expect much from Disney Channel singers. I mean, there's a lot of auto-tuning going on, so you really didn't care for it.
It was like nails on a chalkboard to me.
To me, it was so high energy and like really got the mood set great for this presentation, which honestly, I was not expecting a performance at the beginning of this one. I just thought it was going to be like, here's a trailer. And to just start it out of the gate. There's a ton of High School Musical this weekend. Like, I feel like I heard, we're all in this together so many times. So, I loved it. And it got me hyped for the series, which I was looking forward to anyway. But, like, now I'm really looking forward to my favorite title, High School Musical, the series. Love it. So good. They also talked to, Marvel. Kevin Feige came out.
Yeah, so Kevin Feige came out and he announced a lot of stuff.
A good amount of stuff for Disney Plus.
I feel like Kevin Feige was the only one that actually talked about unknown things. For Disney Plus.
Kind of, yeah. So I will say overall, this year's Expo was a lot of confirming and or giving more details about stuff we already knew about. There was not a ton of shocking announcements. And I think part of that is Disney keeps, their cards close to their chest. Another part of that is there's a lot of leaked info. And if you follow that leaked info, you're like, oh, well, I already heard that one. And this is just a confirmation. So in any case, yeah, Marvel announced some stuff.
Yeah, so they announced She-Hulk.
Yep.
Which
people were stoked about. The audience reaction for that was like huge.
If you don't know about She-Hulk, it's Bruce Banner's cousin. She ends up getting infected with the same gamma blood from him for some reason. And then she stays in human form for the most part, but green. And she retains her like brains, and so she doesn't ever like Hulk out, but she's just as strong as the Hulk, but not like gigantic. Mm-hmm. They announced Moon Knight, which Kevin Feige had talked about in a way where he loves the character for like the last 3 or 4 years. And this is just confirming that they're going to do a TV series about it. And it's essentially a guy is a war hero, and he gets injured in Egypt. And then the moon god grants him special powers, and he can't tell if he's crazy or if he actually has moon powers. So he kind of has this like split persona. And the last big announcement that was a little big for a lot of girls and the Muslim community was Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. And she goes to a rival school of Peter Parker, and she idolizes Captain Marvel. So has nothing the same powers as Captain Marvel. So if you watch that movie, Kamala Khan is nothing like that. She can like manipulate her body shape. And yeah, and those were the 3 big ones they announced.
They announced What If, which is what if this happened in the Marvel world as opposed to this, which shows you an alternate reality. But the thing I got to tell you I'm most excited about from Marvel, because I mean, most people know I don't love Marvel, but I am absolutely, definitely 100% checking out WandaVision.
Oh, yeah.
WandaVision. So good. I have no idea what this is, and they didn't tell us too much about it, except for the fact that what they showed us was like pieces of the Dick Van Dyke Show mixed in with like stuff from Marvel, and they were saying it's part old sitcom, classic sitcom mixed with like Marvel, and I don't even know what that means. And I can't wait to find out what that means.
Yeah, so apparently they're taking a concept of like the Dick Van Dyke Show, and the rumor is that Scarlet Witch misses Vision so much she creates this dream reality for her. So she goes into this dream reality, and Vision and her are living like this like sitcom like 50s style life, and then it starts to fracture, and all these nightmares start to come in within the dream reality. And it's supposed to lead directly into Doctor Strange 2. And if you don't watch this one, Doctor Strange 2 won't make much sense.
Well, who is Wanda?
Wanda is Scarlet Witch.
Okay, so I don't know if I like this, but it's piqued my curiosity, so I will check it out.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be comedy mixed with like Marvel horror.
Yeah, so like that's interesting to me. The new Lizzie McGuire series starring Hilary Duff was announced, which it was very cool how they teased this, because at first they were like, we're bringing back Lizzie McGuire, which of course, if you're of a certain age, makes you very happy to hear. And then they were like, we're looking for casting, and we knew that when we were casting, we hadn't needed to find this quality and this quality. And they were teasing as if, there was going to be a new Lizzie McGuire, and then ultimately it was announced that, nope, Lizzie McGuire is still Hilary Duff. Of course, she's older now, and I think we're dealing with her daughter at this point.
They didn't say if she had a daughter or not.
Okay, well,
but she's in her like midlife.
It's still Hilary Duff. She came out, and one of the funniest moments I think the presenter said something like, we couldn't imagine doing this without you, Hillary, and she goes, I wouldn't want you to. And I was like, that's hilarious. I love that.
The entrance to it though was like, it was really confusing for the audience for a good minute or so, because they just showed the animated Lizzie McGuire thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, are they doing a cartoon series about Lizzie McGuire?
That would have been one way to get around the age thing. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of people excited about that. I was, that was not my age demographic, so I didn't grow up with Lizzie McGuire, but I know a lot of people who are like stoked. So there's that. Muppet short form series. Guys, I just gotta say, I know there's like a lot. It's really funny. Whenever I do like a Muppets episode of Disney Coast to Coast or tweet anything Muppets, it really doesn't get a lot of love, which breaks my heart. But watching these short form clips, and it was it was a short clip that they showed, people are laughing their butts off in that auditorium. And the Muppets work, when done well, and hopefully it's done well. And I get that the last sitcom had problems and stuff, but I still think the Muppets have great potential. If you can get past the different Kermit voice, which I'm getting a little bit used to.
Yeah, it sounded weird to me.
It always will. Even if you listen to Jim Henson versus Steve Whitmire, like theirs are very different too. Kermit's Kermit, and we just gotta love him. And I'm excited to see what they do. I'm a little surprised it's a short form series, and a little disappointed by that. But it does seem like most of their work lately has been like YouTube,
which is why I figured they did it like that, so they could just do a little skit here or there, and then like really make the skit pop.
Yeah,
the skit they did for the Expo was great.
Yeah,
it was Kermit and then a lawyer.
Yeah.
And the lawyer was really funny.
Yeah, the lawyer is basically like, you can't announce anything. And Kermit's like, well, can I say this? And he's like, no, you can't say that. And, it was funny back and forth. Little classic Muppet banter. Speaking of shorts, Forky Asks a Question is coming. Tony Hale came out to talk about this, who is the voice of Forky. I mean, Tony Hale's hilarious. I love Tony Hale. So basically, I'm in for anything he does. That's a lie. I've never seen Veep. But I love him on Arrested Development, and I will check out Veep. So before you write me and say, you gotta see Veep, I will, eventually. But yeah, Forky asked a question.
Yeah, it was great. The opening, I think they showed us the opening credits.
They showed us
going into
an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was he asking a question? I can't even remember what the heck he was asking a question about. But I remember laughing. I just don't remember what it was specifically. But Monsters at Work, Ben Feldman and Aisha Tyler came out. I love Ben Feldman. Of course, this is a spin-off series of Monsters Incorporated and Monsters University, so that should be fun.
Yeah, it just takes place immediately after Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, and it looks good. Looks good. And I kind of like the fact it ties in with a theme park attraction. Well, at the end of Monsters, Inc., they realize that laughter is
more power than screams.
That story is continued in the Monsters, Inc. attraction in Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom, what's called Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. So that's kind of a continuation of that as well, so that's nice. And then Kathleen Kennedy comes out with some Star Wars stuff. Mandalorian, we get a trailer for. It looks like a Star Wars movie. Like, they're not cheaping out. And that's what we kept hearing is the content of Disney Plus will be as good quality as you see in a movie theater. They're not lying. There was a visual in this trailer that really, it was kind of a gut punch when you see it takes place, 7 or 8 years after Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, so 8 years after Return of the Jedi.
And there's this visual of all the Stormtrooper helmets, stuck on top of these spikes in the ground. And it was with some blood smears on them. It was a very cool visual that, I don't know, it just affected me, and I was like, oh, wow, all right, cool.
And they brought out the cast for that, so we got to see the entire cast, and we found out that Taika Waititi plays IG-11, so he's playing a droid.
And then huge Star Wars news.
Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series.
Confirmed. Is it a series or a movie?
It's a series.
Okay, so Ewan McGregor comes out, confirms the rumors that, Obi-Wan Kenobi's coming back. It's very cool. You know what? I know people have very strong opinions about the prequels. I kind of grew up with those. I was in high school when they came out. My introduction to Star Wars was actually the re-release in 97, I believe, of the special editions, which led into the prequels. And so, I don't know. I don't hate the prequels nearly as much as most people. And Ewan McGregor, I think people always say it was the best part of those.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's exciting to see him back. He seemed very happy to be putting that robe on again.
And they did put it in the timeline, so it takes place a few years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, cool.
So I think they said 8 years after Revenge of the Sith. So a lot of 8 years they're using.
Yeah.
And then the last one was the spin-off of the Rogue One characters. It's a prequel, obviously, and it's about spying. And yeah, that's the one I'm kind of interested in because it could be really good.
Yeah, I am not, I do not need to see everything Star Wars. When it comes to Star Wars, I need to see the movies. And there's too much other stuff for me to spend I know you love the animated series, and Clone Wars is coming back. They announced that.
Oh yeah, Clone Wars. Clone Wars I'm really excited for.
So I'll tune into I'll check out Mandalorian and Obi-Wan Kenobi for sure. The big thing to come out of Disney Plus, I'm beside myself. First of all, there's a lot of unscripted stuff, and that honestly is the stuff I'm most excited about. Now, one of the biggest unscripted things they mentioned is The World According to Jeff Goldblum, which...
Wait, what?
Jeff Goldblum is one of the most unique, hilarious, brilliant performers out there. Guys, if you live in Southern California or are planning a visit, I highly suggest you check out, this is a tangent, but check out the calendar for Rockwell Table and Stage in Los Feliz, because he performs there when he's not off shooting a movie or working. He's there on Wednesday nights performing with his jazz band, and he's one of the coolest guys ever. So, I mean, to have a series about him traveling the world and having new experiences in the way that only Jeff Goldblum can is beyond exhilarating for me.
Yeah, the trailer looked hilarious. They show him learning how to make jeans, serving ice cream.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. And he was there, of course, and talking about it a bit. And then there was this funny thing. I'm sure you've probably seen it by now. It's kind of gone all over social media. But he, you know, on a red carpet, somebody from Variety asked him his thoughts on this news about Spider-Man no longer being part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And his reaction, I'm not going to get into it, is one of the funniest and most brilliant things I've ever seen in my life. Check it out. I actually retweeted it on both my personal Twitter and the Disney Coast to Coast one. So if you haven't seen it, go through the feed and check it out from this past weekend.
And he watched it probably 30 times that weekend.
Probably more. Yes, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I love it.
One of the shows that's coming up on Disney Plus that I'm looking forward to is Encores.
Yeah, Encore. No, I believe this aired on ABC. I believe a pilot aired. I could be wrong. I could have just heard about it a lot on Broadway podcasts. So this is produced by Kristen Bell, and it's the concept essentially getting people back together who performed in musicals in high school and having them put on an encore performance of that same show.
20 plus years later.
It sounds like so much fun. And, you know, obviously people, when you're doing musical theater in high school, it's for most people, it's not like, oh, this is what I want my profession to be. This is just a fun activity to do after school. So, you know, a lot of these people can't sing anymore or out of shape or whatever. It looks great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to check it out as a theater fan. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it aired on ABC years ago, a couple years ago. And now it's going to be a full-blown series on Disney Plus, so that's cool.
And I'm looking forward to, because they show in the montage of them doing Annie.
Yes.
Seeing those grown adults play Annie is going to be hilarious.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And Pixar in Real Life is a project I'm excited about, where basically iconic scenes from Pixar films are being recreated in real life. So it's kind of like a candid camera situation where, you know, this thing is unfolding in New York City or wherever, and you'll see... you know, cones crossing the street like you'd see in a Toy Story film, or
Wall-E popping out and grabbing some trash.
Yeah, so fun stuff like that. So that looks like a lot of fun. The Imagineering story, I'm very excited about. I think that's what it's called. There's some Imagineer unscripted series that I think looks really fantastic. And
there's also Phineas and Ferb, the movie, Candace Against the Universe.
And Noelle, which is a Christmas movie starring Anna Kendrick and Billy Eichner, who is hilarious.
And Bill Hader.
And Bill Hader, yeah. So there's a lot of good content. There's even more than that, for sure. And, you know, Disney Plus is coming.
Yeah, and this whole panel was interesting because they gave us so much information in just this 2-hour time slot. And I think they went about 2.5 hours.
I'm not sure.
And then when you go into the sales floor, this whole sales floor was like Disney Plus.
Yeah, so Disney Plus took up a large chunk of the sales floor. A lot of it was, you know, they were giving an offer to sign up for 3 years, and you could be among the first to sign up for Disney Plus.
Yeah, you got 3 years. You saved $20 for the 3 years.
And you got a pin.
And a founder's pin.
Yeah, so that existed. I didn't really, you know, there was a stage there and they were kind of explaining the setup and how it's going to look on your screen and stuff. It was a lot. It was a huge footprint for not a ton of info, in my opinion. Like, it was a big advertisement for sure. Like, in fact, throughout the weekend, I'll meet you at Disney Plus was like very much something that our group said, you know, through text. It
was the easiest place to find in the entire expo.
Absolutely. So meet you at Disney Plus, and, you know, successful as far as getting it in people's minds. If you went to the expo having never heard of Disney Plus, I'd be shocked if you left not knowing about it.
And the navigation, they showed how they navigate it. It's pretty simple. There's, I think, 5 lands. There's
not lands, but there's
sections.
They have like a Marvel, they have Lucasfilm, they have
Pixar,
and then I think just Disney
and National Geographic.
Yeah. So like Fox doesn't have anything, but so there's gonna be those like basic areas, which will be like playlists, but then there'll be a search area, I'm sure, like Netflix or something.
And so if you're used to scanning Netflix and Amazon Prime, it's gonna be really easy to navigate for you.
Yeah, it looked pretty user friendly. So I'm actually. That got me excited. As I said, it's probably my favorite panel of the weekend. It got me very excited for Disney Plus. So that's day one. We'll try to make this a little faster, but let's go to Saturday, where we start the morning with Go Behind the Scenes with the Walt Disney Studios. As we mentioned, this was done in a very different way this year. Normally, animation and live action are separated. This year, it was everything. So we got Lucasfilm, Marvel, Pixar, and Walt Disney Animation, and Walt Disney Live Action all in one panel. Went a lot faster than I expected. Lucasfilm and Marvel didn't spend a ton of time on them, which I kind of liked. But Lucasfilm, of course, Kathleen Kennedy came out with J.J. Abrams to talk about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I'm just going to say something here. Going back to the Disney Legend Awards this past weekend, Christina Aguilera became a Disney legend because she was in the MMC, the New Mickey Mouse Club, and she also, of course, is known for singing the song Reflection from Mulan. All I gotta say is Kerry Russell came out as part of the cast from Star Wars Episode 9. Kerry Russell was also on MMC, the New Mickey Mouse Club, and starred in her own series Felicity for Touchstone Television, and is in a Star Wars movie. So if Christina Aguilera is a Disney legend, why isn't Kerry Russell?
Something tells me that with Kerry Russell, because her character looks awesome.
Yeah.
They showed like pictures.
She's a bad guy, right? Or bad girl?
I think she's just kind of Han Solo-ish.
Okay.
Where she just kind of plays.
Oh, okay, but plays both sides.
Whatever benefits her. She kind of looked awesome. If that character hits, guaranteed she's in the next.
I don't know. I think Christina Aguilera was really just that was a marketing push for the live action Mulan, which of course we saw a bit of. So that was the big news. The big discussion about Lucasfilm was Rise of Skywalker, and they brought out the whole cast. Looks great. I'm excited about it.
They showed Darth Rey.
Yeah, Rey is going a little bad in this movie.
Yeah, she has the double-bladed lightsaber. If you watch the Clone Wars, she uses the same lightsaber that Krell uses. If you've never seen Clone Wars, you have no idea who Krell is. So
yeah. So that was basically it for Lucasfilm.
There was almost no presentation from Lucasfilm. It was one of the quickest.
Yeah, but it was more interesting to me than the Marvel one. So
for the Marvel one, Kevin Feige at Comic-Con last month announced the biggest slate you could possibly announce at Comic-Con. He announced all of Phase 4. The only thing he didn't announce was the 3 new Disney Plus shows, which he announced on Fridays. He brought out Black Panther 2 director Ryan Coogler to announce the premiere date of Black Panther 2, which I believe was May of 2022.
Yeah, I think it was 2022. It was a while off. So it was Black Panther 2, The Eternals, and Black Widow, those were the announcements.
Yeah, Black Widow, we saw footage.
Did we?
Yeah, we were
Oh yeah, I fell asleep.
Yeah, we were the first ones to see footage of Black Widow. You go to Budapest, so all those Budapest stories they talk about in the Marvel movies with her, we're finally going to see Budapest. And then we get introduced to another person from the Red Program. That's where she trained. They kind of tease it in one of the movies with her doing ballet and learning to fight. And we meet Stranger Things actor David Harbour.
Oh, yeah.
And he basically plays a Russian version of
Was that a surprise?
No one knew what character he was playing.
Oh, okay.
And then the movie poster has him in the mask.
Okay, cool.
So it's a deep cut Marvel character, but it should be fun because he just played this crazy Russian guy.
Yeah. Now, one of the most exciting presentations of this panel was Jungle Cruise, which, of course, we know is a movie coming out with Emily Blunt and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And it was very cool the way they did this. First of all, Dwayne Johnson came out on a Jungle Cruise boat, and drove through the audience on it, jumped on stage, he did his thing, his larger-than-life personality, and very much did this, I'm the star of this movie, and this is going to be so cool, and very excited, and he says, check out the trailer, and it was a very, rock-centric trailer. So after that, we hear Emily Blunt's voice from backstage. She comes out on her car on stage, and it's basically this whole, What are you talking about? That was so, Dwayne Johnson on all these giant letters, and my name was so small and all this stuff. And then she shows a version of her trailer, which is, of course, focused on her character.
Yeah, it's like the same trailer from two different points of view.
Yeah, and we've been hearing for a long time, like one of the big marketing tactics for this has been their relationship in real life between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. Like, they have just really have this very fun relationship, and apparently that shows through in the movie, and it certainly, assuming it's real, certainly showed through in this presentation. And regardless of whether or not you're like excited about the movie, it was one of the highlights of this panel. I'm definitely interested. There's this whole thing where Dwayne essentially, as the character, gives this whole spiel that we're used to from the attraction. You get the whole backside of water stuff, so it should be cool. It's reminded me of when Pirates of the Caribbean first came out, and you got those great moments of the man with the pigs and the just those iconic scenes, the dog with the keys and whatever. We get those iconic moments in Jungle Cruise, and hopefully it's a great movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I could see it going either way as far as my opinion goes. It's an adventure movie, which isn't always my favorite, but yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, I love adventure movies. They compared it to Indiana Jones, Romancing the Stone,
which I thought was they mentioned Romancing the Stone a couple times, and I thought I was like one of very few people who had even heard of that movie. So
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, anybody young probably has never heard of Romancing the Stone. If my sister Andrea is listening right now, she loves Romancing the Stone. Wasn't there a Romancing the Stone, and wasn't there another one? It was a sequel, or maybe it was just the same people involved.
There is two Romancing the Stone movies.
Oh, there's one with a different title. I can't remember.
But to me, it looked like Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with The Mummy.
Oh, okay. With
the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Yeah. I've never seen those.
Okay, I love those movies.
So after Jungle Cruise, we got a bit of Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Of course, some of the cast from that came out. A lot of celebrities came out. I'm not talking about all of them here, but,
I think Angelina was the only one that came out for this one.
No, Angelina and Michelle Pfeiffer and the girl who plays Aurora, whom I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. But yeah, they came out and talked about it. Maleficent, I didn't think the first one really needed a sequel, but it looks okay. I'll go see it. And,
The trailer they showed for this one is definitely it tells what the actual plot is.
I think they showed us more than a trailer. They showed us like a full-on scene.
Yeah, and they show us, I don't want to spoil anything, but they show us what the actual like climax is supposed to be, like the conflict that's happening in the movie, which they don't in the trailer you've seen in movie theaters.
Yeah. Now, one of the films that I think looks really good, and this is this is an animation to live action treatment that Disney's famous for these days. But this is like the one for a long time now. I've been saying this is the one that makes the most sense to me. Mulan, I think they're doing it right. They're treating it like its own thing. It's not. As of right now, we still. From what we know, it's not a musical. I really wouldn't be surprised if they do a test with audiences and they end up making it a musical. I don't know. But right now it's not. And it just looks great. It's accurate as far as not history, but like architecture and design and stuff is concerned. And, it's definitely got hints of the movie. You hear in the background music from the film. They're just not singing it.
Yeah, like we see the scene where she goes to the class for her
to
get married.
The matchmaker. Yeah.
And you hear the music. Yeah. And that was really cool because it's just incidental playing softly in the background. The scene they showed us that scene, and it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking really forward to that one. Cruella, we got a first look at Cruella with Emma Stone. Emma Stone. And we got a first look of her in costume. It's a punk rock Cruella DeVille, which I don't think was a known thing.
It was not.
So that was kind of cool to see her in her first look. It looks good. I'm looking forward to that. Now, Pixar stuff. This was, to me, the highlight. But it was Jungle Cruise and Pixar were the highlights for me. Pixar has this film Soul coming out, directed by Pete Docter. It looks fantastic. It's, it starts out with the story of this jazz musician. I don't think this is spoiling. I mean, they showed it to us, so who knows? They may have even released this. But, we see a character basically die at the beginning, and his soul is released and goes back to where souls live and where souls are formed. And, I'm sure by the end of the movie, he'll get back on that body, and the guy's probably not dead. But Is that spoiler? I don't know.
I don't think so, because they literally made it seem like it was the first 5 minutes of the
Probably,
movie.
yes. That's what it seemed like. But it looks great. It's this place where your soul is formed, and it's I forget what they called it, but it's basically like a campus for souls.
Yeah, it's where you learn your personality traits, things you are into, things you're afraid of, things you like, dislike. And then it stars Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey.
Yeah, and it looks really good. That's the animated film I'm absolutely looking most forward to next year. Soul looks fantastic.
It does. And they said it's the most abstract of all the movies they've ever done, which is
a lot considering Inside Out, man. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm very excited for that. Their second Pixar film was Onward, which of course stars Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, all of whom were there. Onward looks great. It's funny because we first heard about this one 2 years ago at the previous Expo, and now we're finally seeing pieces from it. And I just got to say, Tom Holland is such a class act. I mean, the room went ballistic when Chris Pratt and Tom Holland came out. Obviously, it was an interesting week for Tom Holland with the whole Spider-Man thing. And he was such a class act when he left the stage. He basically said just that. He said, guys, it's been a hard week, but I love you 3000, which is a Marvel reference, I guess.
Yes.
From which film?
Endgame. So Iron Man says to his daughter, he goes, I love you 3000.
What's the 3000 mean?
That's just how much he loves
I love
her.
you 3000 times?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Tom Holland, I was in that audience, so Tom Holland loves me 3000. Wow.
It's true.
That feels good. Like I said, no, he's awesome. He dealt with it in such a classy way, and I was happy he was there because we were having that conversation. I'm like, oh, he's gonna come out, and you're like, no, you're not. This is, it's not, not with a Spider-Man thing going on. I was like, he'll be here. So I was thrilled he was there. It was awesome. And Onward looks great. We got a good chunk from Onward.
Yeah, they showed us an 8-minute scene.
8 minutes of the film.
It's like magical fantasy road trip.
And hilarious.
Yes.
Funny moments.
It looks great. I think both Pixar movies are going to be brilliant.
I'm excited for a year of 2 Pixar original films, especially because I think last year last year, whatever it was 2 sequels.
Yeah. And Pete Docter was like, no sequels.
Yeah.
And the audience erupted.
Yeah. So it's going to be an exciting year for Pixar, I think. Now, Walt Disney Animation was last. We finally got the confirmation. We've been hearing about a dragon movie for a long time. We finally got confirmation of Raya and the Last Dragon. Meh.
It looks beautiful.
It looks photorealistic.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired of that.
I think it has potential to be like big world building. And I feel like just from their explanation of like they showed us a map, there's 5 regions.
Yeah. It basically looked like a theme park map.
It really did. The river is shaped like a dragon.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like this is what they're building this one for sequel potential.
Quite possibly. I could see that. I of the animated stuff they showed, this was the one I was least interested in.
Yeah. The dragon was...
I don't like
it
the
looked
design.
Like, honestly, it kind of looked like a unicorn.
Yeah, I didn't care for the
It looked like a
design
My
of the
Little
dragon.
Pony mixed with a dragon.
I don't think there was any mention. I will say the piece they showed us was very funny. The young boy in the film, funny moments. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't excite me. It
was all right for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to see it.
Of course. Of course we'll see it.
They didn't show you enough to be like, wow, I'm really into this story.
Visually, it didn't appeal to me. And yeah, I don't know. Didn't rock my world. But Frozen 2 is next. We got the cast of Frozen 2 came out and sang a song for us. We saw we heard of an Elsa song, one of at least 2 Elsa songs in the film. So, Frozen 2, it's coming out in November. It's going to be massive, I'm sure, I would guess. Although, interestingly enough, this has been one of the worst years for animation ever. Every animated film that has come out has, like, literally even including Toy Story 4, although, numbers are good, everything is below
Expectations.
what has been expected. So I'm curious to see what happens with Frozen 2. I'm sure it's going to do really well, but I'm curious to see if it does as well as they expect it to do.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, I'm not sure if they talked about it in this panel or if they talked about it in our storytelling panel, but this completes the Frozen story. They said it finishes
until it does really well,
Yeah.
and then they decide to make a third one or a Disney Plus series. I don't believe the Frozen ended the Frozen story in my mind until it made $1 billion. So, it is what it is. But we got a live performance from the cast of Frozen. And
Jonathan Groff finally got to sing.
Yeah, Jonathan Groff got to sing like a legitimate song. I will say that Josh Gad was there. I was very sad that they didn't use him to announce Shrunk, the supposed sequel to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But that didn't happen, so who knows if
But
that's
they didn't
happening.
announce anything.
Nothing, no Hocus Pocus 2 this weekend. That was the other thing that I thought between Disney Plus and or Disney Legends with Bette Midler and Kenny Ortega both being inducted. I kept saying they're going to announce Hocus Pocus 2. This is the time. I've been saying that for years now, so never believe me when I say it. But, it didn't happen. Hocus Pocus 2 nor Shrunk were announced. So as of right now, those are still, I guess, rumors.
And nor anything that... For Disney live action especially, there was no, outside of Mulan, Jungle Cruise, and Maleficent, like Artemis Fowl it was shown in a trailer.
They showed it in a little thing,
but
Raya and the Last Dragon was the new announcement, but if you were paying attention, you knew there was a dragon movie coming. So that was the new announcement. So that was that panel. Let's go to that evening where we went to see Disney on Broadway in concert. Now this year, Disney on Broadway is celebrating 25 years, and we saw a killer concert with a cast including Alton Fitzgerald White, who was from The Lion King.
He's the longest running Mufasa.
And then Ashley Brown, who is the original Broadway Mary Poppins and is the voice of an angel. Love her. Gavin Lee, who is the original Bert in Mary Poppins. Heidi Blickenstaff, who another voice of what a powerhouse. Love her. She's from Freaky Friday, the musical.
And Little Mermaid.
That's right. She replaced for the role of Ursula. Josh Strickland, who's the original Broadway Tarzan. Kissy Simmons from longest running
Nala in
Lion King. And it was great. They literally did numbers from every single Disney Broadway musical. They also included stuff from Hercules, which is going to be as part of Shakespeare in the Park in about a week or so in New York City. And sadly, no Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, technically, that was not a Broadway musical, but I was hoping for a little bit of Hunchback. But they hit everything else from, number one Beauty and the Beast to Frozen and everything in between they did numbers from. And they were awesome.
Yeah, Gavin Lee hosted it.
Fantastically. Yeah, it seemed like a show that they've done before.
Yes, with a few added elements to it.
Yeah, so what it seems...
It was so well rehearsed.
Yeah, it seems like they have this show that tours, for lack of a better term, between like Disney cruise ships and or Epcot and maybe even some other places. I don't know this for certain, but it just seemed like these performers have worked together before. Their banter was like spot on, and they were just pros is what it comes down to, and they sounded amazing. The musical arrangements were phenomenal with a nice live band on stage. It was a great night. If you love musical theater, it was a fantastic night.
Yeah, there was new harmonies.
Yeah, and
songs.
some songs. Oh, the one from Newsies, Watch What Happens. They had 3 of the girls sing it, so like normally that's just a solo.
And it was awesome.
It was fantastic, and it was awesome.
They did Let It Go to end the show, and everyone
with
was...
all of them, all 6 of them.
It was a really cool arrangement. And then, it was just...
It was great.
It was... Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It was great.
Yeah, there's really not much to go into other than, if you know the Disney musicals, you would have had a fantastic time.
And honestly, I think they could... I feel like that's a show, because it's so well rehearsed, they could have it more than once.
During the expo? What do you mean?
During the expo.
But, I mean, it didn't fill the room. Why would they do that?
Maybe there was other panels and stuff. I feel like that should be like a two-parter.
They tried that last year with Alan Menken.
Yeah,
and it split the audience. It didn't do great. If they had done one show, he would have filled the room. So
it also would have been cooler in the arena, I think, as well.
Last time I saw them, now they do not do a Disney on Broadway performance every expo. And last time it was in one of the small rooms upstairs, I remember.
Yeah,
and
the last expo.
Not the last expo. No, that was many years ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I was happy to see them get that space. And, 25 years on Broadway, phenomenal. Little sad and surprised Tom Schumacher wasn't there, the head of Disney Theatrical. I love seeing him. Also, I never saw Bob Iger all weekend. I know he was there for the Disney Legends Awards presenting. I'm sure he was there in the audience for other things. I never saw him on stage presenting or around.
Yeah, he only came on stage during Disney Legends, and that was it.
That's kind of a bummer. But He's probably like, hey, I want the weekend off. So that was the Saturday. Sunday, we start with Sneak Peek, Disney Parks experiences and products. There's so much to get through here, so we're going to go kind of quickly here. But some stuff we knew about, of course, as we mentioned, the Thursday night in advance, they let us know about Avengers Campus going to Disney California Adventure as well as Disneyland Paris, or I should say the Walt Disney Studios Park at Disneyland Paris. And it's already in Hong Kong with the Iron Man attraction there as well as the Ant-Man attraction. The thing that's interesting about this is they're saying that the stories are connected between these three lands and these three parks, which is cool and I don't think ever been done before. What that means to me is that they can never copycat an attraction because it wouldn't make sense.
Great.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that. And this basic story is that we are going to be recruited to help fight. And, it's a cool story. It looks like it's, going to be a nice addition. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if people end up loving that more than Galaxy's Edge. I mean, I know Galaxy's Edge is way more immersive and such, but Marvel fans, I think, are going to freak out over this Avengers Campus.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
We're getting a Spider-Man attraction. We saw the ride vehicles. It looks very much like the ride vehicle Universal Studios uses for their Spider-Man attraction, which, like I've been saying, like everybody's been saying for a long time, Universal Spider-Man attraction is epic. Even, what are we? We're now 20 years later. It's still one of those attractions that, like, top notch. So it's going to be hard to make a better Spider-Man attraction. So I'm excited to see what Imagineering comes up with. And then later on, we're going to be getting an Avengers attraction they mentioned in phase 2.
But as part of the Spider-Man attraction, they're creating a new program called Web, which is apparently getting introduced into the movies.
Oh, okay.
And it's like We Are Engineering Brigade. I don't remember what the W stands for. Engineering Brigade. Worldwide Engineering Brigade. It's getting introduced in the movies, and then it's going to be part of the Spider-Man ride, which is now going to be a unique thing because we don't have Spider-Man in the MCU.
But well, here's the thing: Disney still owns Spider-Man. It just has to do with the movies.
Correct.
And frankly, they're going to figure it out. Like, I have faith it's going to be figured out.
The thing I was most interested in Marvel Land, actually, was something they just briefly touched on, is there's going to be an interactive Doctor Strange teaching you how to do magic show.
Oh, yeah.
And you get to create circles and visit the worlds of Doctor Strange in this little pavilion that's tucked in the back corner. And they just lightly touched on that.
And it sounds like there's going to be a ton of meet and greets. They listed off characters.
Black Panther, the head guard, Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America, Thor, Loki,
Spider-Man.
Who else did they announce? And Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of meet and greets there. Let's move on from there. We got Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, which is the quote-unquote Star Wars hotel opening over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is interesting. This is going to be a 2-day adventure. It's going to be a very expensive adventure. They didn't name a price, but it's basically like a cruise ship. You are spending 2 days because you pull up to a place to check into your hotel, and then you get into a pod, fly yourself to space, and you're in the spaceship for 2 days. Because once you're in space, you're not traveling back and forth, is what it sounds like to me.
Yes.
This could change. Like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, there was a lot of stuff that was announced for that hasn't come to reality just yet. Stuff like, they're tracking how you do with things.
Bounty hunters walking around.
Tons of, aliens walking around and stuff. We'll see if that happens, but this is a very exclusive experience. It's going to be 2 days long. You're spending 2 nights in here. Our buddy Preston said something that I honestly hadn't thought about, but there are no windows to the outside world because you're in space, so all of the windows look out into space. I don't know if people are going to get cabin fever in this thing. It's kind of a weird problem that I don't know if they've thought about, but people might get cabin fever being locked up inside of a spaceship for 2 full days. I don't know. I'm curious to see how this turns out.
The things I'm most curious about is apparently it's going to be really expensive.
I'm hearing like $3,000 for the 2 nights.
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
I don't know how they can keep it as interactive as they're promising for those nights.
What do you mean?
Just as far as hiring people, actors, or when you're in there, you're in character the whole time you're in there. No breaks and stuff like that.
Well, you go backstage for a break.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem. Anyway, let's move on to Disney Cruise Line. The new ship, or one of the new ships, we got a name for it. It's going to be called the Disney Wish, which is a nice name and fits with the rest of them. On the back of the ship, the character we're going to see is Rapunzel on this one, which is kind of cool. And Joe Rohde came out, phenomenal Imagineer Joe Rohde, who I got to meet this past weekend, which was awesome because I love that man. He told us about a new island that Disney is using in the Bahamas and how they're very much like Aulani, and I was happy to hear this. At Aulani, he very much worked with the Hawaiian locals as far as their design and crafts and stuff to help build and design Aulani. They're doing the same thing on this Bahama island. So very cool.
Did tease that he's been teasing it on his Instagram for a very long time and nobody knew.
Yeah. So he's basically been going there and visiting and with the different artisans and such. And so if you go and check out Joe Rohde's Instagram, you can probably see some old posts of the types of stuff we'll be seeing in this new Bahama island that Disney Cruise Line will take you to.
And it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, looks cool. Now, the big lots and lots of news was Epcot, which is what was to be expected for this panel. I'm going to blast through these things. One of the biggest things I'm just going to start off with is Mary Poppins is coming to World Showcase, to the UK Pavilion, and we're getting a Mary Poppins attraction. It sounds like it's just a carousel, which really isn't that exciting, to me anyway. I'm sorry, Aaron Wallace out there listening is very excited for the carousel. I thought they teased it like it was going to be like a legitimate ride, so if it ends up being just a carousel, that's a little disappointing, but I will say the creation of Cherry Tree Lane is happening, and that's awesome.
And the concept art they used for it was from Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah, so to me, Cherry Tree Lane is the highlight of this whole Mary Poppins announcement coming to Epcot. I think that that's really cool, and if you're a fan of that film, that's going to, awesome photo ops for you there. So that's pretty cool. We did talk about the Nighttime Spectaculars. Of course, Illuminations is coming to an end. The in-between show is called Epcot Forever, which is going to really emphasize the past of Epcot and their music and the characters and stuff from the park. And then it leads into a new show called Harmonious with a big US at the end. Not for United States, but for us. Us, we're all equal. We're all the same. Us. Harmony, us. In any case,
and
very
it's
much
the new theme song for the park.
Yeah, so, for that extravaganza, which they played for us, and I loved it. You didn't care for that much.
I didn't like it that much. I couldn't tell if it was just mixed improperly with the singers and the orchestra, and it just sounded off to me.
It gave me chills. I love it. And this is a person who's like dreading losing the beautiful score of Illuminations, but it sounds like Harmonious is going to have an amazing score. I will say, though, when they showed us a little preview of Epcot Forever, I'm like, I'm going to miss Epcot Forever. I mean, that's there for a short period of time just between the two shows, and I think Epcot Forever is going to be fantastic. So I'm hoping maybe there's a way to keep both. Do like Epcot Forever early in the evening and then end the night with Harmonious. I don't know. But Epcot Forever seems like it's going to be crazy spectacular.
That opens in 2020, so spring of next year.
Okay, so Remy's Ratatouille Adventure we know about. We're also getting La Crêperie de Paris and a Beauty and the Beast sing-along in Paris as well, which we had previously known about. We're getting the new Canada and China films soon, and those had been talked about before. Now, this is interesting. Future World is going away. There will be no Future World at Epcot, which, of course, has been there since the beginning. There's been Future World East, Future World West, and I've never loved the name Future World because of the fact that Magic Kingdom has Tomorrowland. And I was always like, well, what's the difference between Tomorrowland and Future World, aside from the fact that Tomorrowland has nothing to do with tomorrow? But as far as names and themes are concerned, I always felt it was a little bit repetitive. So I know there are probably a lot of people out there very sad to see the name Future World go away because it has been there since the beginning. But now they're breaking those three sections into World Celebration, which is, the center's portion where Spaceship Earth is. And then there will be World Nature is one portion, which will be the part over to the right where you can find the Living Seas, or I'm sorry, aged myself. The Seas with Nemo and Friends and the Land. And then World Discovery over to the left, which is things like Mission Space and New Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. So I like these new names. I think it makes sense. The only thing that concerned me was the side that Figment is on for Journey into the Imagination is the nature side, which has nothing to do with nature. So I was like, what's happening to Figment? But
if you look at the map, they kind of draw around.
Yeah, I think they're doing a path to divide those two. So I think Figment should be okay. But this is exciting. Spaceship Earth, I'm happy to hear, although it's closing for a long period of time, our good friend and listener Aaron Wallace really scared me because he's like, if they're closing it for like 2 years, like they're saying, is Spaceship Earth returning as Spaceship Earth? And it really freaked me out when he just said that to me. It is returning. It's getting a nice upgrade, but it's going to be the classic attraction we love. They did not mention who the new narrator will be.
It's the story of Light.
Yeah, but there's always a narrator.
Okay.
And they mentioned there will be a new narrator. There's going to be this light that weaves through the attraction, which will probably be a cool laser or fiber optic effect, I'm sure. And I'm looking really forward to it. Like, I love Spaceship Earth. It's classic Epcot. I do hope they put not a new ride system in, but an upgraded ride system, because the current one makes a ton of noise. So I'd love to have a quieter sound system put into the attraction. And I'm excited to see what they do with that, and happy to hear that it's coming back. And I love Spaceship Earth. It truly, like, I'm in awe of Spaceship Earth. I love it. When's the last time you've ridden it?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it. It's been so long.
So wonderful. So that's cool. Now they're building a new festival pavilion as part of this area as well.
3 levels.
3 levels, yeah. And this is something I'm very excited about. This is probably the things I was most excited about. A new Walt Disney statue that is going to be, they're creating an area called Dreamer's Point. It's kind of just going to be like a little park area. And there's this beautiful statue of Walt sitting on some steps, and you're going to be able to sit next to Walt and get your picture with them.
The concept art, it might be my favorite Walt statue.
It's beautiful. Now, there are people out there who are were upset by this, because they're like, this Epcot isn't what Walt dreamed of. And my argument there was like, well, yes, we all know that, but they put Walt in an area called Dreamer's Point. And I mean, I think one of the ultimate dreamers was Walt Disney. I think it's beautiful. Whenever you work Walt into a park, it makes me happy. So I loved this. I'm looking really forward to that. And that's all in that whole World Celebration area. Now, over in the nature area, the World Nature, we've got Journey of Water inspired by Moana. It's going to be a little walkthrough with some water effects and stuff. And awesome. Magic Water, excuse me, like we've seen in the film. Awesome Planet is a new film that they mentioned as well. And then in the Discovery area, there's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. We got a name for it. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind with a backward launch. Is that what they said?
Yes, so it's the first ride of Disney that's backwards launch.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't go into an immediate loop. That might give me a headache or something. But
looking at the concept art, it was very confusing because it kind of looks like it would be like screens, like how Forbidden Journey is at Harry Potter.
Okay.
And then when they said it was a backwards launch, I was like, "This will be." They said it's a unique system.
It's going to be more like, I think, Gringotts, where it's going to be a mix of different mediums and such. I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
it looks great.
The official name, Cosmic Rewind. We got a name for the space restaurant, Space 220, because I believe it's 220 miles from Earth. So that was announced. And then the Play Pavilion will also be in the Discovery area, which we've talked about before. So yeah, Epcot, tons of changes coming. And we talked about most of them. It's really just scratching the surface. I will say, people complained for years about Disney's Hollywood Studios being a construction zone. Get ready for Epcot for even longer, I think.
I think this is at least a minimum 5-year project of constant construction.
Yeah, so I love Epcot. It's a special place, and I'm happy to see it get some TLC. And I think the stuff we love should be safe-ish for the most part, I think. They did talk about the 50th celebration of Walt Disney World coming up in 2021, and this time, instead of celebrating just at Magic Kingdom, it's going to be going to all 4 parks, which is exciting. They mentioned something new, a new app called Disney Genie. This is interesting to me.
It's taking over the Magic Bands, I believe.
No, I think it's going to be in conjunction with Magic Bands. This sounds like an upgrade pay thing. This kind of sounds like a Max Pass situation to me, where you're going to pay for it, and it's basically going to make your schedule for you. It's going to take all of the
things you are interested in doing.
Yeah, and then make the perfect schedule for you. And apparently it's going to be very adaptable if you decide to change your mind or whatever. So this Disney Genie thing, they didn't go into much detail other than it's going to make your trip easier and less planning on your part necessary.
And they said it's going to be good for people who have never been to the park and people who go to the parks all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like it's going to be a big upgrade cost. is the impression I got. They didn't mention anything about cost. As far as we know, it could be free, but I don't think it's free.
Yeah. What they showed was essentially, let's say the 5 rides you wanted to go on that day.
Yeah.
You'll plug them in. Then it'll optimize your day with those 5 rides. And then it'll give you options of things from those 5 rides that you'll think you'll enjoy as well.
Yeah.
And plug those in too.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how that one works out. Disneyland got a little bit of news. We got a new parade coming. It's called Magic Happens. The song was pretty cool. Who's the artist?
Todrick Hall is the composer of the song, and they had Jordan Fisher come out and sing the song.
Yeah, and I'm always good with the Jordan Fisher moment, so that was fun.
I did like the D23 presentation of it because it turns out that Emmy winner Cassandra Chavez choreographed it.
Okay.
So it should be good addition to the park if you're into parades.
Yeah, my argument would be that it just doesn't seem like the difference between parades now simply seems the music. Like every parade is simply a mix of different Disney things. So this time, I think there's a Moana float and there's a Coco float and like a classic princess float. So it's different generations of classics in one parade. To me, like, it might as well just be Mickey's Soundsational Parade. You know what I mean? Like, we got a mix of floats in that, too. The big difference is the music, it seems.
The only one I really feel like was different recently was Celebration.
Which one was that?
The
the street party. But yeah, but
that one's the only one that felt different than these.
I want to go back to the old school Aladdin Parade, Lion King Parade, Hercules Parade. Like, I just want like a full-on theme, or even just like an Adventureland parade or something. I get why they do it. It pleases the largest amount of people. I get it.
It's the quickest way to see every character you want.
Absolutely. So I understand why it's done. It's just like, I don't get that excited when I hear about a new parade because I'm like, okay, so it's just going to be more random floats that you're going to try and fit in with a theme.
The floats did look really cool, though, in the concept art.
Yeah, they look good. It'll be cool. So that's happening at Disneyland. Over at Hong Kong Disneyland, as we know, they're working on Sleeping Beauty Castle, giving it some more height. We got a name for it, Castle of Magical Dreams.
And it's a mix of all the princesses.
Yeah, which is what the concept was for Shanghai. Now, I think Shanghai gave it a better name, Enchanted Storybook Castle. Castle of Magical Dreams, I don't know. I think it's a lame name.
Yeah, it was interesting to me, especially when you're looking at it, and they literally will do like the style of like Princess Jasmine's castle, and then all of a sudden the shape was weird. Yeah,
well, if you don't know, they're taking Sleeping Beauty Castle from Disneyland, which is what's there already, and just building on top of it.
Yeah.
So they're not really changing the base. So it's interesting. Also happening, Wandering Oaken's Sliding Sleighs, as well as Frozen Ever After are heading over there. Of the Sliding Sleighs is a new attraction. Frozen Ever After, I'm a little surprised is heading there, especially if it's the same attraction. Well, I shouldn't be that surprised, but because Frozen Ever After was fit into an existing attraction with the removal of Maelstrom, I thought maybe they'd get a new original Frozen attraction, but apparently not.
I did think the Oaken Sleighs looks great.
Yeah, looks fun. One of the things I'm most excited about heading to Disney Springs at Walt Disney World is the new Cirque du Soleil show in conjunction with Walt Disney Imagineering and Walt Disney Animation. Eric Goldberg came out to talk about it, who is the classic hand-drawing Disney animator over at the studio, as well as the folks from Cirque du Soleil. Beautiful story about a young girl whose dad is an animator, I believe, and he basically puts her into this animated world, and it sounds like it'll have a bit more of a story than most Cirque shows do, and using Disney music and animation stuff, I think it's going to be kind of awesome.
Yeah, so and they're building it in a tent.
Yeah, no, that tent already exists.
Okay,
there was a Cirque show there called La Nuba for 14 years or something like that, so that closed a little while back, and so that's coming in 2020, spring 2020, so sooner than I expected, actually. Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge is being built at Walt Disney World, which we knew about. What we didn't know about is there's going to be a Princess and the Frog-themed restaurant, which I think is exciting.
It's exciting, but it also felt weird because it doesn't feel like Louisiana.
Yeah, the design that they showed us, the concept art, didn't look accurate, but, I still don't know why it's not New Orleans Square, but whatever. Here at Disneyland, it makes no sense.
To me, that's the easiest switch over to create a Tiana restaurant. Yeah. Tiana's Place.
Now, one other thing I want to mention about this presentation was the fact that, of course, the parks and consumer products are all tied into one now. Some kind of major news is the fact that Disney Stores is teaming up with Target, and there's going to be like a whole Disney section in Target stores or some Target stores. And I found this to be interesting. I actually love Target like an unreasonable amount. Like me going to Target, even if I'm going just to run an errand, is a fun experience. I love Target. And so I think this is cool. I do think we'll start seeing Disney stores close. We'll see probably the major ones stay, like New York City or whatever. But yeah, Disney and Target, they're partners now. So that happened.
And they showed concept art of how it's going to be inside the store. They are very small. It's a small section.
Yeah, they'll block off a little like square section of the store, and it'll have Disney product. So, so that's kind of cool. And let's see, that was pretty much that panel. Unless there's anything else you want to add about it.
Yeah, they showed us the facades for the Mickey and Minnie's railway.
Oh yeah, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
It's the El Capi.
Oh, the El Capitan.
El Capitan,
which is cute because Disney's theater in Hollywood is called the El Capitan. So that was fun, the El Capitan. And let's jump to later that day. We went to a panel called The Art of Disney Storytelling. Not going to go too much into this, other than to say John Stamos and his wife Caitlin McHugh hosted this with Tony Baxter, of course, Master Imagineer, former Disney Coast to Coast guest Floyd Norman, as well as former Disney Coast to Coast guest Don Hahn. That's their official titles now, apparently. And Paul Briggs, who's worked on films like Frozen and now the new Dragon film. It was a fun conversation. It wasn't that great. It wasn't like phenomenal or anything.
Yeah, so this one, John Stamos hosted my favorite panel at the last expo.
Yeah.
And this one felt rehearsed.
Yeah, it was really rehearsed. It was kind of weird because like they're talking about this Disney storytelling, but through attractions and film, and it just felt a little bit like
it didn't work.
I didn't love it. A lot of people walked out. A lot of people were walking out of it. But it was, it was
interesting. Yeah.
It was fine. There were some good stories told. And that was it for the panels we did. That's where we spend most of our time is the panels. I do want to just touch on the show floor really quickly. The Emporium area is the area of the show floor where it's basically unofficial Disney vendors. Our friends from Laughing Place have a booth there selling books and, letting people know about their great website. But also, my argument with the Emporium was, number one, it felt a lot smaller this year, but there was a lot of repeat stuff. Like, there were a lot of booths selling Disney pins, selling Funko Pops. And books is one thing. Like, there's all different sorts of books. But, like, when you're seeing the same Funko Pops and same pins over and over again, I don't know. It was just it was a weak area this year.
I found it weird, too, because there was multiple Funko Pop ones, but then they were, like, competing against each other, too, for the same ones. And so, like, one store would have a lower price starting point for them, but then the other store would offer a better discount if you bought multiple of them, but they were all the same Funko Pops.
Yeah, so I would like to see, like, there was less of the artists. Like, in the past, there used to be artists, they're painting throughout the weekend, and you, like, buy the paintings that they were painting there right on the spot.
And there was none of those.
Yeah, so, like, the more unique stuff was missing, and it was a lot more of the just carbon copy stuff. So that was a little disappointing. The shopping, that's not my thing. We did go to some of the stores. Nothing really intrigued me. I will say they did have Dapper Dan Funko Pops, which I'd never seen before, which are cool. And even limited edition Dapper Dans with Mickey, Minnie. Who was it? Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald maybe dressed as the Dapper Dans, which was cool. But nothing that really intrigued me to buy. But, I know, trust me, I saw plenty of people with shopping bags, so a lot of people bought a lot of stuff. One of the things on the show floor that I love, which is so lame, but the parade/street party that they have is fantastic. There's a marching band, there's some, weak dancers as far as celebrities on golf carts that change throughout the day, and giant balloons, let's say D23 Expo with the Mickey circles. I love it. I know it's lame. I love it. I saw it twice.
I did too, and they had like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and
the characters were in it as well.
Goofy.
It was just a fun thing. Like in the middle of the day, you just clear the show floor, and this little cavalcade comes through. And it's one of those things that sets it. I've never seen that at an expo or a convention before, so it sets it apart. It puts that little touch of Disney magic. Center stage was not in the center at all this year. Center stage was in the back corner, or I guess the front corner of the expo. Needs a new name if you're not going to put it in the center of the expo floor.
Because Disney Plus was in the center of the
That's
expo
right.
floor.
So that was there. The show floor is good. This is the first time. This is the most time I'd ever spent on the show floor because I'm usually waiting in long lines to get into panels. And with the reservation system, I had many hours that I wouldn't have normally had. So it was great to be able to go to every booth and spend a lot of time. I had fun. I'm trying to think if there were any in particular that stood out. The Imagineering one was great. They had a cool Epcot model, as well as some other, they showed the spaceship hotel for Star Wars. It's still not as grand as Imagineering stuff used to be, but it was pretty nice. It was probably my favorite of the different.
Yeah, it was really cool to look at. The archives of the costumes was great.
Yeah, yep.
The name was terrible.
So yeah, they had the whole costume archives area. They called it Villains and Heroes and Villains, which means just everybody essentially, if you're including heroes and villains. So it was a bad name, but great costumes, Cinderella dresses. They had the Sanderson sisters costumes from Hocus Pocus, which was cool.
And each costume had a little blurb from the costumer about why they created it, what ideas popped up when they were working on it.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. And I'm not a costume person at all, and I still found it interesting.
And it was really varied, like from flops like Prince of Persia to, hits like Beauty and the Beast, and
They had
everything in between,
They had every Mary Poppins outfit.
Yes, they had a Broadway Mary Poppins, the Julie Andrews, and Mary Poppins Returns as well, so that was kind of cool. They had something from the Black Hole, which was like one of the biggest flops ever. So it was really varied, and it took up a large footprint. So that was cool. I liked that. Anything else you want to add? We're rambling a little bit here. I know there's a lot to talk about with the expo, but that's basically the stuff we did.
Yeah.
And, if you went, I hope you had a great time. You could have had a completely different experience from us because there's so much going on. But it was a great year. I had a really good time, and I'm going to be honest, I was a little cautious going into this year. I don't want Fox to take over. As we mentioned, they talked nothing Fox when it came to the Walt Disney Studios panel.
They showed the graphics for Fox,
Yeah.
Fox Searchlight, and Blue Sky.
Yeah, they basically said, we own this now, but we're not talking about it. My guess is next time around they will talk about it. There was the Simpsons panel. I didn't attend that. It's becoming oversaturated with too many different companies, in my opinion. By having a, Discovery? Yeah.
National Geographic.
National Geographic, sorry. By having a National Geographic area on the show floor, that taking away from something that would have been, standard or classic Disney. So, there's a lot of stuff moving in. But it was a great year. I had a really wonderful time. Great group of people, to all the friends I hung out with. Thanks for hanging out. I do want to give a shout out to all of the listeners, all of you who stopped me and said hello and said you enjoy the show. And it was an absolute pleasure meeting all of you. And I thank you for taking the time to stop and say hello. So thank you. Anything else you want to add before we get to some trivia?
That's pretty much it.
All right.
The only thing I would upgrade would be just have kind of bigger spaces for Imagineering and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want back to classic, epic Imagineering show floor. So, in any case, guys, I think that means it's trivia time! Okay, do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
This is from the Art of Storytelling panel.
Okay. That would be the John Stamos one with Don Hahn and all them. Yep.
What story influenced Don Hahn the most growing up?
Oh, I remember. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
No,
That was the one.
that's not the one. It was a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, he should have gone with Great Pumpkin. I think Great Pumpkin's better than Charlie Brown Christmas.
Well, he said he liked Charlie Brown Christmas because it just felt like
That's right. Now I
unfinished
remember.
and rough.
Okay. Yeah, Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a fun little factoid. I'd never heard him say that before. It's interesting fun. Okay, we were talking about High School Musical, the musical, the series. And back in the day, High School Musical had representation in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland parks. And I'm curious, how could I ask this question? I could ask you which parks they were in. I could ask you what were their names. I could ask you how many of them there were. Do you know any of this information?
Of the parades?
Well, they were really not parades. They were like show stops.
There was...
Where was it?
It was in California Adventure.
Disney California Adventure. Where was it in Walt Disney World?
Oh, I have no idea where it was in Walt Disney World.
Take a guess.
Let's go with Disney's Hollywood Studios.
It ended up there. It originated at Magic Kingdom and quickly moved to Disney's Hollywood Studios. So you got that. What do you think the name of the first one was that they did?
High School Musical.
Uh-huh.
The Traveling Show?
High School Musical Pep Rally.
Pep Rally, okay.
Is what they called it. And then High School Musical 2 came out, and they called it...
Pep Rally 2? I have no idea.
High School Musical 2, School's Out. And then the third one was High School Musical 3, Senior Year, Right Here, Right Now.
And they were fun shows. I do remember seeing
They were
them.
fun shows. I want High School Musical, the musical, The Float, to come back. That's what I want at Disney California Adventure.
Parking itself right in front of the World of Color Lake.
Yep. And actually, after they did the High School Musical ones, they just did a generic one called Disney Channel Rocks, featuring music from a bunch of different Disney Channel shows. So those were around for a while. I remember seeing them a bunch, but they went away, I want to say around 2012, something like that. And they don't exist. But I'm all for bringing them back. So that would be awesome. In any case, Mr. Victor, thank you so much for coming on the show, talking about D23 Expo. Thanks for a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was wild. Folks, I want to remind all of you that there is a major contest going on right now over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. You could win a vacation to Walt Disney World for a week. That would include your hotel, plus your theme park tickets, plus your food. So go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, click on contest, and certainly sign up for that. You can enter it daily, and somebody's going to win that prize. So if you don't sign up, you're a fool. And on top of that, while you're there, sign up for the free gift, America's Hidden Mickeys, featuring different Disney destinations around the USA. If you want to start your own podcast, head to youcanpodcastnow.net to get some free information about that. And I do want to give a shout out to my patrons, Philip, Rio, Monet, Anna, Diego, James, Gerardo, Jared, Matt, and Jeffrey. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you'd like to become a member of the DCTC community like these fabulous folks, plus get Q&A live streams, early episode releases, and even be a guest on Trivia Time and so much more, it all starts for just $1 over at patreon.com/DisneyCTC. That's patreon.com/DIZNEYCTC. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.